Right, let's turn on the volume and get on with this. So I think if we change to the main screen. Hey Lee. You've got someone join already. I don't really like the overlay that I currently got for the chats. It doesn't look great. How's it going? Yeah, it's not going too bad. I don't know if any more people will join the stream this evening, as it's a bit more of a sensible time. Let's close that. Yeah, we'll save this as Twitch overlay. I'll go there. Cool. So I'm just going to have a quick check of the stream to make sure it's all working. Apparently we've got 4 people on Twitch and 5 people on Periscope, so that's quite good. How's it going for yourself, Lee? You might have to excuse me in the stream. My daughter's got a bit of a temperature at the moment, so she's not sleeping very well, and I might have to just skedaddle to make sure she's okay. So just get her set up for the evening. Oh, that's why it's huge. Let's get this into a more reasonable size. Nope, I've managed to compress that. Is that better? Yeah, there you go, that looks like the right ratio. Cool. What's Ionic? Let's have a look. Cross-platform mobile app development. That's cool. Sounds too front-endy for me. Okay. So, I don't know if anyone knows what's going on with Automaily, so I might as well just briefly explain. It's a tool for sending emails related to your SaaS product using Stripe integration. So when a customer is created in your Stripe account, we know a customer is created on your SaaS app, so we know to send you an email. Which webcam have I got on? Is it this one? This one. Sorry, it's rubbish for telling. This one. Because a customer is created in your Stripe account, we know a customer is created in your account, and then you can trigger an easy workflow of an email campaign, really, to onboard that user. And then, let's say that payment fails on Stripe, you know that that customer is now going through like a dunning cycle, so you need to send out emails in the correct order with the correct actions depending on your business case. Now, the original idea of Automaily was to be able to build this really easily for SaaS owners, and then to provide a much more powerful solution than you would get trying to do it yourself. Now, I've sort of already achieved this with what I have at the moment, except for the workflows are very basic. At the moment, a trigger comes in, let's say a Stripe event, and then there's a little bit of statement checking, and then it is sending off an email after a delay, or maybe not a delay. However, to do dunning correctly, you don't want to be sending emails like that. Ideally, a charge will fail. You should then reattempt the charge a day later, for example. You shouldn't email the customer. You should maybe wait another couple of days and try again. At that point, you should then start firing off an actual email campaign. So, let's say you got to day 5, you should retry the payment. If it fails, then at that point you should send them an email and go through the whole chain, and then wait a couple more days and then send a re-message, and then get more and more advanced with more complicated, more sort of personal emails, and then like the last email should just be like, we're going to cut your account. So my current workflow doesn't really support that. Let's say the user performs an action while they're mid-workflow, there's nothing in there that's going to cancel it. So it's not great. So I want to build advanced workflows straight in. Now, I've sort of proved that the app works for myself. It does work on Snapshooter. I've got I'd say a moderate amount of interest in using it, but from talking to people, they do want these more advanced workflows, and then it does lead on to more features I can build in the future, with campaigns related to customer success. So for example, let's say a customer registers on Snapshooter and then doesn't connect a DigitalOcean account. I know after a couple of days I should then send them an email saying, let's get you connected, and then after a week maybe send another one, and then at that point end them and value that customer as 0, like they're never going to use the product. So that's sort of one of the goals. So I'm going to start building more advanced workflows, and I'm just going to start doing it on this stream. Now, I've decided to event source this. This is probably the first time I've used event sourcing in an actual side project that I feel is going to go into production. It's a big overhead, but it is going to offer a lot of power. So I'm going to go for it. So I thought it might be a good opportunity as well for anyone who wants to learn about event sourcing, to catch on and talk about that. So let's have just a quick check before I get into it. Cool. And I've got the chat open this time, so if anyone does have questions about event sourcing or anything like that, feel free to please do ask. That'd be very great. It is Diet Pepsi, and yes, yeah, drinking again. Okay, so there may be periods of silence while I try and work out the domain behind this. So what we're aiming to build is workflows. So you'll set out maybe blueprints of a workflow, and then the workflow will be processed by an automatic event. So I'm thinking we have a workflow planner, and then that actually, when it gets triggered, creates the workflow. And each individual sort of customer or action ends up with its own bespoke workflow that happens. So we're going to make a workflow planner to start with. And you can watch as I build that as a domain. So I did a little bit of setup this morning just to make sure I wasn't doing really boring things on the stream. So where should we start? It's not. The difficulty is trying to get this to marry in nicely. So I just put it in the models folder, and we'll go in here, and we'll create a new directory, and we'll call it workflow planner, and we'll call our aggregate, which is the correct term in event sourcing, workflow planner. Cool, and that extends the aggregate root, which is just sort of in the same way that Eloquent models extend Eloquent. This is extending an aggregate root. So we also create a folder for value objects, and in here we will make we'll call it workflow planner ID. So each workflow planner has a unique ID. And I don't have base models. I only have base value objects, so I might have to just quickly open this in another tab, just so I don't have to write everything out. This is what I normally do when I set up projects, just copy and paste some key value objects from previous projects. So source, infrastructure, value objects, identity. So we have a UUID identity. So event sourcing, it's far easier. I mean, I've never done it without, but to use unique IDs throughout. So we've got the model folder. I'm just going to put it in here. Fuck it. Value objects. I can always move these later when I decide I don't like the idea. Oh, zoom in on the editor again. Oh god. Which one is it? View. Presentation mode. There we go. Thanks, Alex. Okay, so in this we'll make a new directory called identity, because we're going to have to do it loads of times. Identity, and in here we'll have a UUID identity. Cool. Perfect. And I'm trying to think what the best way to do this is. I should have set this up as well, but so we'll make an interface as well. Just make sure all our identities match. So we'll make it very basic. So we'll have what are we going to have? Trying to think what we need to have on here. So public static function from string, which I don't actually need that. Don't need the random. We do need the toString function to be implemented. toString. Oh. That's why there's meant to be an interface. So I don't need any of this signature. So we'll make this a string. Return a string. And I don't. The other one that's useful to have on here, based on other projects, is equal, and then we pass in another identity. Other, and we return a boolean. There you go. Okay, so the unique identity that will implement the identity. We'll put the method in, we'll put a construct in, string UID, generate the dot blocks, initialize the fields, I shall do. So add a getter. Oh, that's probably what we want. Oh no, maybe not. We'll just return UUID here, and we'll just do here. We'll do return other. We could just check that the string versions of each are the same. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so we'll just use this to wrap our identities, and that means that in our new model that we've got for the workflow planner, we can have a value object in here for the planner ID, and that can extend the UU identity. It's probably worth doing a little bit of validation on the UU identity. UUID. So we shall add a method, we'll put it at the bottom, guard against invalid UID, and then I'm gonna just copy this from another project because I can't do regex. UID, so that's a string. We'll add the comment about void, so and we'll add a we'll just bind an exception in here. That should be an invalid. We'll just extend the base one. Invalid argument. And what should we put in here? Identity. That'll do. I swear. Yeah, I did have that. I don't know why I didn't auto. Oh, it's because it's a final class. I should just remove that. This is it's locked up again. This is one of the things about event sourcing is it does take a little bit of time to get bloody set up in the first place. So I'll just correct my typo, invalid, do refactor, and then in here we shall just call guard against. There you go. So there's no way you can construct one now that's not valid. Okay, so the workflow planner ID now extends the UID there. So that's great. We can carry on. So we'll probably write our first test now, really, get into writing tests. So we'll write one about the workflow planner. So the first thing you can do is, I'd normally plan all this out on pen and paper. I would say you probably draft one. Yeah, let's call it draft workflow planner test. Okay, and this extends a domain test case, which requires us to provide a subject, which in this case is our workflow planner, and we also need to provide a repository. Let's just clear these up. And then we'll just clear them up on here as well. I feel like I'm not selling event sourcing at the moment. Okay, so we need the repository as well. Okay, this requires making a little bit more code as well. Repository. Oh, I've only gone to that in the wrong place, haven't I? Oh no, it is in the right place. Okay, so we'll call this. I spelt it wrong, so let's fix that first. We'll make a new class, which is the workflow planner repository, and that's an interface. The repository and the event sourcing thing is what you use to load your aggregate. To save your aggregates, you provide an aggregate ID, and that would load you the entire event stream for that particular aggregate, and then you would commit your changes to it. You would make your changes to it, and then you commit them by putting it back in the repository with the save method. I've just seen Alex. Yeah, I hope Alex just sent me a screenshot, a photo of him projecting this on a projector. I hope this is your home cinema and not like you haven't got like a local gathering going on or something. So the interface needs two methods: a load and a save. And I'm just gonna open up another project to make sure I don't mess this up. I'll do repository. Not that one. That one. Okay, so there's two methods on here. There's a load, and that does a via an ID. It's not strongly typed because PHP doesn't support generics. This should, when you pass in the ID, it should return you a workflow planner. And the ID is a workflow planner ID. And that's your load method. It's going to moan about the fact it's not strongly, there's no type hint on there, but I haven't solved that one yet. And then the other one is save. And this one will just take an aggregate root. You can take an interface of an aggregate root. Aggregate root, and then that returns void. It's not going to return anything. And I'm just going to leave it like that. We shall now build the strong version of this, the concrete version, so the workflow planner. Smooth. Smooth is the name of the event sourcing library, so repository. Random question: what keyboard, mouse, and how many screens you got? I've got I've got 3 screens running, so I've got I've got 2 LG 5K monitors that are not Apple but supported by Apple, connected into a MacBook Pro, and then for the keyboard I've got a old school, or not old school, but just a full Apple keyboard, and then the mouse I've got the cheapest Microsoft mouse I could find. I quite like it to be quite small, so this sort of size, and then also this keyboard. Oh, hi Lee. Thanks for joining. I got a bit. Okay, so this one can just extend from the. I did have this open, didn't I? This is going to extend from the event sourced repository. It has a couple of methods already in. It deals with. It deals with everything. There's quite a lot of implementation behind that. So the prefix will just be it's a string, so we'll have it as the workflow planner. It's just the workflow planner. And then the aggregate type, return workflow planner. It just needs to know which class to build when it returns the when it returns all the events in the event stream. It needs to know which class to push them into. So, it's got quite a dirty way of actually initializing a PHP object. If you look here, we hack the unserialize method to load up that class without calling the constructor. Sorry, 1 second, my daughter's. I'm gonna have to go and see her. I'll be back in a minute. Right, I'm back. Back onto the main screen. In answer to the question, no, she's not very well at the moment. She got a temperature, got a cough, not very happy. So, cool. I can't remember where I was. Oh, this is a dirty way of loading PHP classes without calling it a constructor. So, right, I forgot my tangent anyway. So where were we then? We were looking at the test. So we can now implement this. We can say that it's the workflow planner repository. Okay, that's great. So we can now write our first test. The test is going to be just called draft workflow planner. Okie dokie, so we can build this easily. So we'll say, given that no events have happened, when I call the basic command, which should be something on the lines of new draft workflow planner. I don't like the name workflow planner already. We'll provide it. Do we have Faker? So we'll just provide it with a name, but we'll have a ID called GUID, and then we'll also just give it a name, which is draft plan workflow. I don't like the name workflow. What would you call it? You've got a workflow that you're going to follow. What would you call it when you're actually implementing or performing that workflow? Trying to think what the best word for it really is. So you've been through, you've built up a workflow, which is basically a big flow diagram of what you want to do, and now you're performing it. What is the term for that? This is where people in the stream are meant to jump in and tell me. Oh, hi Robin. Hey, it's been a long time. It's because I was talking about event sourcing. You fancy jumping in again, right? And what to call it? I'm going to rename it workflow and I'll solve it later. I don't like the workflow plan, that's pissed me off already. Right, so we'll just rename this to workflow. I'll think of the name for it when the first action triggers off a workflow and then processes it, so I'll just solve that later. So we'll rename this one as well. It's like one of the hardest parts of event sourcing is naming things correctly. It's just as important as actually building it. So but before I get too far down the rabbit hole, we'll just rename everything, which is also a pain in the ass. So the aggregate, it's just the workflow now. So in my tests, oh, I still need to change the factory name. Is this going to work or is this not going to? Yep, okay, that seems to work fine. So we'll go in here and we'll rename this one as well. Factor rename. And then the test can be renamed as well. Okay. Do a factor. So this will now be just draft a workflow. advancement. I'm not sure if that works, Lee. Handle draft work flow handler, and then this just takes a repository. Then function test results, and then in this case we expect one event to have occurred. I'll come in and type out what that should be in a minute, but so let's just check if I can run this test. Process finished. Is that really what I was expecting to happen? Let's hoping for an actual proper error. Exit equal code 0. I shall continue as I know what should be happening, but that doesn't seem right. So we're going to make a commands folder. And in here we're going to make our first command, which is going to be draft workflow. This extends the base command, which is critical for giving each command an ID for usage later. And then construct, so this is just going to be a string, I got work on my mind, workflow ID, and then string name. Add some getters, jobs, Bob Jungle, good. So we can now import this, it'll be fine. Why is it doing that? Let's just exit presentation mode and just see what's going on with these tests. Just run the whole suite and see. Oh, you know what, guys? I'm gonna end the stream. I can't keep going up to her and having to stop this. So it might be another night this week.